From the opening race for the historic and invited sports and touring cars here at the Festival of Sports Cars event, you can see getting away quite nicely in the Datsun 1600 was Nick Manikos in the independent bakery car. He was leading Chris Goff down into turn one in the Targa Racing BMW. A smaller field, but still some great action from these guys. Because coming around is Jack Cousin in the Jaguar Series 3 V12 car. A really good mix of cars. You've got Mazdas, Porsche, Jaguar, Austin Healey. There's the Austin Healey just in behind Colin Goldsmith. He's up behind Tom Watts in the Nissan Pulsar. As around goes the Jag, having things a little bit slippery for him in the early stages. Down the inside goes Hans Rice in the BMW. He's getting past Attila David, who we're on board with here in the Mazda RX4. A brilliantly prepared vehicle. The Jag got back on track and continued racing forward, catching up a few positions, managing to overtake Colin Goldsmith, who you can see on screen now in the Austin Healey 3000. An 8-lap affair this one, and it was Chris Goff who just powered away out in front. A 1 minute 11 fastest lap on the short circuit. He really had the BMW Z3M Coupe powering nicely, and you can see it was a case of Goff first and Daylight second as we take a look at the top 10. Christopher Goff, Nick Manikos, Hans Rees, Attila David and John Astis rounding out the top 5. Race 2 highlights now for the historic and invited sports and touring cars here at the Festival of Sports Cars event. You can see the Jag getting a little bit squirrely off the line, trying to get the power down. Still a good field of cars. Number 92, Greg Shield in the Porsche Carrera, having a pretty decent run. Unfortunately, this race, he would not complete it, and that would be the end of his weekend. You can just see in the middle Mazda MX-5 there of John Anastas. He's having a good run as well, sitting just inside the top 5 of this field. Maybe smaller, but still some great racing. As you can see, we go on board with Attila David. He's going to make the move to the outside of Chris Goff in the early stages. Pretty brave one to make down there as we go left, right through the flip-flop on this short track at the Winter Invitational meeting for the Festival of Sporting Cars. Really good place to get out and get racing. Chris Goff, you can see it looked like a fuel leak from the rear of that car. It meant he went to pit lane. And then at the front, we started to have some action. Hans Rees down the inside of Attila David. The BMW JCW Mini Cooper taking the lead. And then around the outside went the Datsun 1600 of Nick Manikos. But unfortunately for him, on the exit, a couple of laps later, loses the rear, like we've seen a few cars do through that short section. And he'd record a DNF as he could not get the car started. Out in front, Hans Rees brought it home in the Mini Cooper and took a comfortable victory. Attila David trying to keep him honest all the way home in the Mazda RX4. Third went to Chris Goff coming back from that pit lane repair. John Astis fourth and Tom Watts bringing it home in 5th place. Race 3 highlights now for the historic and invited sports and touring cars at the Festival of Sports Cars. Sydney Motorsport Park Winter Invitational, remembering Ray Jardine, who put on this great show for many years. And down into turn 1, late afternoon sun for these guys now. 3 good races across one day, so you get plenty of track time, and they were making the most of it as Attila David again got himself to the front in the RX4. Again though, coming under pressure from Hans Rees. At the back, Tom Watts and Jack Cousin were having a great battle. Watts in the Pulsar, keeping the Jag honest. And often around the back section of the circuit he was able to catch up, but the main straight was where he lost out. While Hans Rees continued to put pressure on Attila David, eventually going around the outside of David at 2. And even though David fought as hard as he possibly could in that RX4, the Mini Cooper got the line on the inside and got the job done. An immaculately prepared vehicle, that Mazda RX4. If you get a chance to see it in the pits at the Festival of Sporting Cars, make sure to go down and have a look at it. A really nice car. You can see here, this battle was great between these 3 cars. We had John Anastis in the Mazda MX-5, Jack Cousin in the Jag, and Tom Watts eventually getting past him on the final lap to take 5th place in the race. But at the front, yet again, it was Hans Rees who recorded a comfortable victory, driving away in the end. Attila David coming home in 2nd place. 3rd goes to Christopher Goff, John Anastis in 4th, and 5th goes to Tom Watts. That's all for those highlights. After the break,